I think that a lot of people, and we use a lot of these terms, you're seeing a lot of, oh, get to 10,000, get to this and that. Okay. But the reality is, I always like to use the thing of like a farmer. It's like the guy goes out, he decides he has to plant his seeds, then he has to crop, and he has to pick all the fruit, pick all of the food or whatever it is. Then he's got to go sell it. Even if he makes like, let's say he made $200,000, the guy's a farmer. So that's what he does. He goes and farms every single year. He goes through the process. He goes to the family function. You always know who he is, right? Because he just shows up and kind of doesn't care. And he's always, he's loaded or whatever. He's just like butchered to the bone. But he's like, what do you do? I'm a farmer. He's not like, oh, I'm a guy who drives a Ferrari. He's like, I'm not the guy that drives this new 250, whatever that is that you have. Here's the dually. He talks about it. But the reality is he's a farmer. And I think that, and you can probably add to this, is what do you think that trigger is that people are not understanding that they have to become the thing that they're actually doing? It's like, I worked for Harley for 5 years. It was like, well, I work for Harley Davidson. That's what I do. That's my function. And next, I've got everything on. I ride a motorcycle. And I think it's this thing that people just aren't willing. Maybe it's just, maybe a shiny object. You just keep jumping from one thing to the other. But ultimately, it's like, you got to become the thing that you are. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. And then they try to skip the line. Like, for example, like I saw a graphic from Lionel Messi, because I follow a lot of soccer, and I just screenshotted it probably like 2 or 3 years ago, and I replicated it for myself. And it said something like, it took me 10 years, whatever, six months and 155 days and 12 hours to become an overnight success. So I think what people don't see is that sacrifice in the background. Like, if you, like, a lot of people may have heard of like a Gary Vaynerchuk, about how he talks about his story. The guy was tweeting for 4 fucking years for $0, making like 45, 50,000 bucks. And then now people wonder, like, oh, if Gary can do it, I can do it. All I have to do is 4 videos a day and 1 live. The formula is not that easy. Like, understanding what you do, who you are, your audience, and relentless practice. A lot of people, like the analogy I made before, is they're building their house on quicksand. Yes, you can probably survive for a period of time, but then it's all going to crash coming down. We have to master the fundamental of business. And it's just like, goes back down to the basics. It's like, do you have whatever it is you do, is there a market for it? The answer is probably yes. Because if you can dance your way to millions of dollars in a month, you can probably find whatever it is you do. You can probably like find your pocket and your niche, but stay true to who you are and who you serve. Because when you are doing, let's say you're charging $500 and you're doing really well with that, you see somebody else charging $3,000, you want to take your $500 product and value and make it $3,000. It doesn't work that way. Because I remember there's a company called Huge Incorporated, and by the name, they're fucking huge. At the time, I got on the calendar of the CEO of the entire company, all by a cold call and a cold email, convinced the secretary that I was like, somehow knew this guy. His name was Aaron Shapiro. Don't know what he's up to now. This was years ago. And he literally got on the phone call. He said, hey, how the fuck did you get on my calendar? But now that you're here, you have my hour. And he read my mind. He's like, he looked at my work and he's like, let me guess. You want to be in my world? Is that why you're on this phone call? So you can learn from me how to get my clients like JetBlue, HBO, Taco Bell. And he's like, look, you want to make a lot of money. I want to make a lot of money. But the fact of the matter is, I have to fly to Rio de Janeiro to go to Taco Bell meetings. I don't want to fucking wear a penguin suit. I don't want to wear that shit. But I'm doing it because I have a job and a role and responsibility, because I'm good at that product. You're very good at the low ticket stuff. And low ticket was like 10 grand and under. He's probably talking like 20, 30 million, maybe every quarter or something with those big brands. And he's like, you'll fail in my world, I'll fail in yours. But the one thing we're going to meet at is we're going to make a fuck ton of money. And that kind of reframed me to say, be good at who the fuck you are and who you serve, versus try to be good at something you won't ever get good at. It's okay being a low cost provider, like a Costco. Then you don't have to be a Bloomingdale's. Bloomingdale's will master their market. It's a whole different wild ballgame. So if anybody kind of understands that in the audience, I hope you take that away, because you don't have to charge $10,000, because if you lose $10,000 client, you could be at zero. But if you have 100 clients that are doing a certain dollar amount, if you're great at $1,000 products, stick to what you're good at. And don't listen to people when they say raise your fucking prices, because that's just knee-jerk reaction bullshit. It's so easy to say, but if the market does not adapt to it because you jump too hard, listening to a fucking guru out there. So I hear that all the time. The first thing people say is, oh, have you considered increasing your prices to this? You should charge 20 grand instead of 3. It's like, no. If it sells and you're happy and you're serving your audience and they can afford it and they can buy it easily, stay in your zone, maybe increase it by 10%.